What's good, YouTube? Today I'm going to show you part two of the Holley Sniper EFI install on the C20. Pretty much I've got everything wrapped up, just got a few little loose ends and got to put some more miles on it, but you can see behind me it is pretty much done. So I'm going to spin this thing around and show y'all some stuff on it. So as you can see, this engine bay is a whole lot more cleaner than it was before. All the wiring of the AC, no more rat's nest there. You don't see any more rat's nest over here on this inner fender. Like I said, we use the American Autowire original style headlamp harness as well as the engine harness. It goes across the firewall, and you see right about there, that's where the little junction block is. So that's the engine harness that runs along top. It ties in right there, and that's what feeds into your AC harness. But they both go to this factory bulkhead right there. This big plug right here, that's what plugs into your rear lamp harness, or the what I call kind of the body harness that runs along the frame to the rear. But you can see it's all factory style loom with the little pushing clamps. It goes under the radiator hold down plate, catches all your headlights, park lamps. But we are pretty much done. Like a few little small things. We got to get one of the little clamps that go on his AC line that goes on the alternator bracket. But most all the Holley wiring's hid. The only thing you can really see is the temp sensor wire that I just ran along the valve cover there. And you got one little small piece of harness that's tucked in there. And the relay and fuse, they're mounted on top of the firewall there. Customer, he wanted all the Gates power grip hose clamps, so no worm clamps anywhere. You can see the ceramic coated head and headers. I tied them into the exhaust. I welded my O2 sensor bung in the passenger side exhaust. On the Holley setup, you pretty much always have just one O2 sensor, and the majority of the time I always put it on the passenger side, and that's just honestly out of habit. You can run it just as good on the driver's side, but I've had just good luck on the passenger side, and I always seem to have the most room on some of the car stuff I do. But you can kind of see the throttle body up under there. Colton, he did a great job making all his throttle linkage and everything hooked back up, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. So I've got everything buttoned up on the Holley Sniper install. So this is the 3.5-inch touchscreen monitor. This is actually the ECU that works the whole Sniper. You can see it comes in this nice little tray. You can pretty much mount this anywhere. I've hit them in the glove box, ashtrays, I've done windshield mounts, just really whatever the customer wants. But pretty much you've got this one little small cable. I've got this one run through a grommet in the firewall. It plugs in a small little plug on the ECU. I mean, actually out there on the throttle body. But pretty much, only time you really ever have to unplug it is if you have somebody that's coming to tune it. You can some of the laptop plugins, I believe, plug into that same plug. But I'm gonna power this thing up and show you kind of some of the basic features of it. So basically you just turn the key on to ignition hot. You can hear the fuel pump prime for 3 seconds. And now that I've already done the basic wizard, this is kind of the screen it comes up to. So you can see that the engine is not running. There's no RPM signal at this moment. You can see earlier I run it at some point this morning, so it shows us 111 degrees on the coolant temp. But that's pretty much your basic display. I'll go to the home screen. So if you're going to do an initial startup, you would go to the wizard mode, and then you would click next on this one, because this is just the that's basic Holley part numbers there for what kit you're using. And then basically you're going to go through all the little prompts, and it's going to ask you number of cylinders, cubic inch, total degrees timing, just basic little stuff to kind of do a bass tune. Holley you know, they already have bass tunes set in this thing, so it's pretty simple to do. And then once you get through, it basically prompts you to cycle the key, and then you're ready to start. And then also at that point, once you cycle the key, you'll hear the fuel pump prime for 3 or 4 seconds and cut off. And that's a good time to go ahead and check for fuel leaks. But basically this thing's pretty nice. You can see it's got tuning where you can go in, do basic, system, advance. This is where you go to change some of the fuel parameters, spark, the idle, advanced settings. This is kind of, they've got, built-in 2-step launch retard, different idle features. Let's see. So, and most of the stuff for your everyday person, they're not gonna mess with any of this stuff, but I said there's plenty of different stuff. You can go to the outputs, and that's where you can adjust when your fans cut on and off. But like I said, very simple to use, especially on a setup like this one that I'm doing now. It basically, all it's gonna do is control fuel. So this setup is not wired for timing control. We're just running a MSD HEI style ignition. So if I was gonna run, just say the dual sync distributor that Holley sells, I could wire it in where it would actually have a crank position sensor and everything, where it would control timing, and that way you could go in the ECU and set it to, if you wanted 32 degrees timing or 36 total, whatever you want, you could set it and let it program itself, and that makes for a really nice setup. Something this basic, you can get by with doing it this way where it just controls fuel, and it does great. But something that's got a peppy little small block, or something with rowdy cam or something, I do always recommend going to the dual sync distributor, just so it'll control the timing. But you can see I've got this thing all wrapped up. I've pretty much ran it enough. I broke the cam in, topped all the fluids off, bled the power steering. So I'm getting ready to make my maiden voyage over to the gas station and fill it up, and I'll start putting a few miles on it, and hopefully in the morning I'll be ready to send this one on down the road and back over to Colton's. Gonna do a little startup clip here. So give it key on, allow the fuel pump to prime, allow the ECU to pop up. Go ahead and put this back on a monitor screen just so y'all can see how it does. Several times in this video you'll see me show the 3.5-inch display monitor that runs the Holley. I mentioned that is also the ECU, and I stand corrected.
the ECU for the Holley Sniper setup is actually made into the throttle body, and the 3.5-inch display is only the monitor and what you go through and program, which, you know, talks to the ECU. But now you know.
As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and push the notification bell. See more updates on stuff like this and anything else I'm working on in the shop. Thanks.